Is there anything quite as intoxicating as the beginning of romantic love? It really does feel like you're walking on sunshine. We're in a series now where we're working our way through the Song of Songs, and since I don't feel confident enough to sing you my sermons, I figured I could introduce our sermons with a song that kind of goes along with what we're going to be talking about. Today we're going to be looking at what I think would be the second song in the book. We're going to be looking at chapter 2, verses 8 through 17 in the book Song of Songs. So if you would look that up. If you remember from last week was kind of the beginning of love, and it begins with kind of a proposal, so to speak. And you might have been surprised to find that the woman is kind of the dominant voice in this book. The woman is the one who is kind of taking the initiative. She's the one who addresses the man first, and her love is reciprocated. And we looked last week at the beginnings of this courtship, the beginnings of this wonderful relationship, and we kind of pick it up from that point. So let's kind of dive right in. Again, as I say, in the Hebrew, there's no identifier as to who the speaker is, so I've kind of made these choices, and I think the story kind of makes sense this way. But okay, so we begin with her speaking. The voice of my beloved, behold, he comes leaping over the mountains, bounding over the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. So we had that initial scene and that initial encounter in the first chapter, in the beginning of the second chapter. Now we have a change of scenery. Now we're in a different location, and she is beginning to speak, and he is coming. He is coming to find her. And isn't that a wonderful feeling when you've just kind of begun this new relationship with all of its hopes and fears and all that goes with that? Just the mere approach of the other person just fills you with wonder. And she is talking to somebody as we continue. I believe it's the daughters of Jerusalem, her friends. So she's in a location with her friends, and she's talking about him coming, and she can't help containing her excitement at his coming. She describes him as her beloved, the one she loves, and she describes him as a gazelle or a young stag. These are amazing animals. There are animals that I look at and I don't think graceful. You think of a pig. That's not a terribly beautiful animal in terms of its motion, or a cow. They're fine, but they're not. There's not this easy grace to them. But when you say gazelle or a young stag, isn't there kind of an inbred, stately nature to the way they move? Obviously, it's nothing taught. They don't learn it somehow, but something about the motions of a gazelle or a young stag, every motion seems like a kind of ballet. That's how she describes him, as someone with this unaffected beauty that's just kind of natural. And she describes him as bounding over the mountains and over the hills. And maybe as he's coming to meet her or coming to find her, he feels like he's floating. That's a lot of the kind of emotions that accompany the beginning of this kind of a relationship. And she's delighted that he is coming to seek her out. Behold, there he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows, looking through the lattice. So now we have a little more information about the setting. It seems that she is at her home, or at someone's home. She's in a home of some sorts, because there he finally arrives. He comes bounding over the mountains and the hills, and he arrives, and there he is behind the wall, looking through the window, looking through the lattice. So he's peering in, trying to find her inside. He's come looking for her. This is back in the days before texting, back in the days before even email. This is back in the days when if you wanted to talk to somebody, you had to find them. So he's there, he's showed up, and he's peering through the windows, trying to see if he can find her inside and talk to her. Isn't there something wonderful about somebody wanting you? And that's the amazing thing about this kind of a relationship. When you find that person that you say, I want to give my love to you in a way that I am not going to give it to anybody else. I choose you as that person that I am going to give myself to in a way I will not give myself to anybody else. And to find somebody out there that responds back with the same commitment and says, you know what? I want the same with you. There's something amazing about what that does to us. It makes you feel like you won the lottery, except it's even better than that because it isn't random. That person actually chose you. This is what she's experiencing. And obviously the feeling is mutual. He shows up at the house and he's looking in to see her. And he has some words for her. So she says, my beloved speaks and says to me. And now the rest is her quoting his words to her. So now he is the voice speaking. He says, arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. He also, notice throughout this, they call each other my love, my beloved. This is the way in which they address each other. And he begins first with an affirmation of his love for her and then describes her as my beautiful one. You'll notice throughout this book that this isn't just about wanting people. It's not just about physical desire, wanting to have sex with a bunch of people. There's always this returning theme in this book of this is an exclusive attention. My beautiful one. Not one beauty among many, but the beauty that I love. He says, arise and come away. He wants her to leave the house and go out with him. And now he's going to kind of explain his reasons why this would be a good idea, why they should go out and celebrate some time together and celebrate their love. He says, for behold, the winter is past. The rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth. The time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. One of the advantages to living someplace not tropical is that you get to enjoy spring in a way that people in the tropics don't. Because you have the miserable winter before it, right? You have the cold and the dreary and the rain, and all the trees are bare and all the grass is dead, and it's just depressing. You go out there and it's overcast and it's cold and the sun comes up late and goes away quick and the days are short and it just, winter is no fun. And yet, when winter is reaching its end, one of my favorite times of years is when I'm driving around and I see the first tree blossom. There's just something about that, right? You're driving around and there are all these bare trees, no leaves. You've raked them up a long time ago. There's nothing there. And then all of a sudden, one tree just kind of explodes and blossoms. And you know winter is done. You know it's only going to get better. This is the time of year he's describing to her. He says, winter is past. The rain is over and gone. And this is an area of the world where it doesn't get bitter cold in the winter, but you get the rains, you get the cold weather. And what comes with that, if you've ever been to Britain, you know that it doesn't have to be terribly cold. 50 degrees in England is miserable because it is so humid. There's so much rain that 50 degrees, it just seeps into your bones and you can't get warm. There's nothing you can do about it. He says, that time is past. This time of that cold, wet, damp, depressing time, it's over. Spring is here. Flowers are popping up everywhere. It's time to sing songs. It's time to celebrate. It's time to get out there. And he says we can hear the turtle dove. One of the sure signs of spring is the immediate presence of so many birds, and the birds are wooing one another, and they are getting ready to have little baby birds, and they're singing and chirping, and they're all over the place, and it's just such an amazing time of year. He says nature itself is celebrating outside what is going on inside of us. Let's go and enjoy it together. Let's go celebrate this together. The fig tree ripens its figs, and the vines are in blossom. They give forth fragrance. He says there's finally fruit out there. We can grab some figs and eat them. The vines have finally blossomed, and it smells so beautiful. This is just, if there's a day we need to go out into the countryside and spend time together, this is the time. I want you to think a moment about how different this is from the pagan world in which the Israelites lived when this was written. Now, in the pagan mindset, nature was kind of a cruel taskmaster. Their constant fear was that there would not be a good crop. Their constant fear was that there would not be enough rain, there would not be enough plants to feed them, that the animals would not bear enough babies to continue to feed them, that they would not have enough animals to sustain them. And they built these religions on the assumption that nature had to be somehow convinced to provide the fertility necessary. And the gods exercised their authority over different aspects of nature. And the way you kept the gods happy was through sacrifices and through using your sex to kind of fuel the energy that nature needed. So you had ritualized prostitution. And sex was not about a man and a woman delighting in one another and together building a home. Sex was about paying your dues to the gods. And nature was a cruel taskmaster. This song doesn't mention any of that idea. And see, in the pagan mindset, we were the servants of nature. We were at the mercy of nature. We had to do whatever we could to convince nature to help us out. In the Song of Songs, nature is not our Lord. It's our gift. That's the way God designed it to begin with. He created everything in preparation for us. And once everything was in place, He put us on the face of the earth and said, now name it and govern it. This is all here for you. This is meant to make your life enjoyable. And I don't mean by that we abuse it or misuse it. The Bible is clear. We are entrusted the care of creation. But make no mistake, God created creation and intended for it to be something that we would enjoy, not the other way around. This guy has it right. When we love another person and this love just fills us to bursting with joy and expectation and excitement, and we look around and it feels like nature itself is celebrating our love with us, that's right. God designed it that way. Nature is meant to make our lives more enjoyable. It's meant to make our lives more beautiful. We're not its slaves. It is meant to be our delight. And he has it absolutely right. Nature celebrates our love. Let's go out and celebrate together. Those of you who are married, isn't it awesome to spend time out away from the TV and away from these indoor things and just get out there and see something beautiful God created with the person you love? Doesn't it feel just right? That's what he's talking about. Let's go out into the countryside together. he repeats his invitation. Arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. Oh, my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the crannies of the cliff. Let me see your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet, and your face is lovely. Lest you think that all this guy wants is to get her out away from everybody so they can just be alone and he can take advantage of her. He makes it very clear that he's not interested in just her looks or her body. He says, come, and he describes her again as his love, as his beautiful one. And he talks about her like a dove hidden away in cracks on the cliff wall. And he's trying to encourage her to come out. This is the way he paints the situation. She's there inside the house. He is outside. And he recognizes that she is not accessible to him. And again, he uses this image of the dove to describe her, something pure and honest and genuine, something unaffected. And says, come out because I want to see your beautiful face. I want to hear your sweet voice. And there's a little chiasm here. The first line lines up with the last line, and then the second line lines up with the one next to it. He talks about her face and her voice, and then in reverse order describes her voice as sweet and her face as lovely. Which tells me that he's not just interested in looking at her. He's not just interested in her physically. He actually wants a relationship with her. He says, I want to spend time with you. I want to gaze on your beauty, but I want to hear your voice. Girls, if you ever find a guy that's interested in you that doesn't want to hear what you have to say, leave him. Find somebody better. If there's a guy in your life that isn't interested in what you have to say, you don't need to be with him. Guys, God created you to fully enjoy a full woman. Not just her body, her mind, her soul. This relationship we're talking about is meant to involve the whole person, not just a piece of it, not just the aspects we want. And there are people today who use other people like they're a box of tissues. And you just take what you want from one and discard them when you're done with them. And you wonder why people who do this are so miserable. Because we were designed to fully connect in these relationships on every level. Not just the face, the voice, all of them. That's a pretty cool invitation. I don't know many women in love who would say, no thanks. But let's see what happens. Now we have people speaking in the plural who interject here. So I'm assuming all of a sudden we realize, okay, now we know who she was talking to. There are more people there in the house with her. And they speak up. And this is what they have to say. Catch the foxes for us. The little foxes that spoil the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. What are the daughters of Jerusalem talking about? I think they're talking about this relationship that's just begun. Now, we saw last week that she tries to set up a time when they can meet together, but she does it in a public setting. She's going to meet with him at noontime when he's there surrounded by his fellow herdsmen, and they're going to spend some time together there, but in so to speak, a safe setting, because there are other people around. They're not just off by themselves in a corner somewhere. They're going to meet somewhere public. Now, this invitation that the man has suggested doesn't appear to be that kind of a public setting. It's just, let's the two of us run off into the countryside. So, the daughters of Jerusalem, the friends of this woman, interject and they say, they speak a word of caution. If we can describe this new love as a vineyard. And it's in full bloom, and the fragrance is in the air, and it's wonderful and precious and beautiful, but it is also a fragile thing. It's a fragile thing. So they speak a word of warning. You know, this vineyard, this moment in your relationship, it's beautiful, it's breathtaking, it's like vineyards in bloom. But you know what? You don't want a vineyard for flowers. You want a vineyard for grapes and eventually wine. You want this thing to mature into something better. You want this thing to mature into something stronger and of much greater weight and importance than just the blossoms of right now. And there are little foxes that seem harmless that can ruin the whole thing. Catch the foxes for us. The little foxes that spoil the vineyards. I love that these friends use the image of the fox because foxes are technically predators. But aren't they like the cutest predator ever? Who's scared of a fox? They're just tiny and fluffy. Look at that tail. Look at the pointy ears. They're cute. If she'd said a wolf, if they had said wolf or a lion or a bear, okay, yeah, but no, foxes seem harmless. Nobody worries much about foxes. And the friends are saying, yeah, there are things that seem cute and harmless, but they can ruin love in infancy. Now, given the context in which they speak this, I think the girls are saying, are you sure it's a good idea for the two of you to go alone into the countryside right now? Under the influences of spring, when you're you're drunk with love to begin with, do you think it's a good idea to run out there? Are you sure you might not ruin things by going too fast, by getting ahead of yourselves? Too many times today, I think we have friends who don't love us enough to do this. Our friends today think that all they need to do is celebrate everything we do. And anything we want to do, their job is to say, go for it. That's the job of the friend, to support you in everything. That's not the job of a good friend. A good friend speaks wisdom into your life. A good friend will say, yes, you have something beautiful going on here. Be careful. Be prudent. Don't ruin things. Don't get ahead of yourself. You want this thing to turn into the full-blown grapes. You want wine at the end of this. Don't be impatient. Everyone today, if you have friends that are in these kinds of situations, speak words of wisdom, loving words of wisdom to them. Help them. We live in a society that has abdicated all responsibility for one another. Do what you will. I'll be here when you have to pick up the pieces. I'm a good friend. Well, a good friend would say, don't do that. Think twice. Be careful. So what does she do now? Put yourself in her shoes. You're there in the house. You got your passel of friends here. He just came and, man, he was eloquent. Man, that sounded great. Let's get out there and run across the countryside. I mean, spring is there to celebrate our love with us. Let's go do this. And all of a sudden they say, are you sure that's a good idea? What do you say now? If you turn him down, won't he feel crushed? And he's in front of all your friends. He'll be embarrassed to death. And yet, maybe they're right. Maybe discretion is the better part of valor. How do you respond? Some scholars think that the person who wrote this book was a woman. And I'm inclined to agree. It may be that this is the only book in the Bible that was written by a woman. I don't know. But definitely the issues it deals with, it just feels to me like it's written from a woman's heart. These kinds of difficult moments where you're faced with, you don't want to offend the person who is in this relationship with you. You don't want to offend the person you love, but you see the wisdom in what your friends have told you. How do you navigate this? How do you deal with it? And I think she does it masterfully. She begins by talking about their relationship. My beloved is mine, and I am his. So before she goes on to say whatever else she's going to say, she reminds the person she loves, who's on the other side of the wall there, waiting for her to come out with him. She reminds him, what I'm about to say is not a rejection. What I'm about to say is not me saying we're done, or I don't want you around, or I'm upset with you. It's nothing about that, because we belong to one another. We're in this. We're building this thing together. I am yours and you are mine. We belong to each other. And that's the way God intended these relationships to work. It's not that the husband owns the wife and the wife is property. We belong to each other. It's fully reciprocal. We are both owned, and we are both owners. That's the nature of the bond we're talking about building. And she says, I know clearly this is where we are going with this. We are building two lives into one. We are belonging to one another. This is the goal. This is where we're moving. It's because of this that she says the next words. And she describes him as grazing among the lilies. So we return to this image of a gazelle or a young stag. And the visual image she paints is not of somebody jumping across the mountains, but of somebody slowing down a bit to graze among the lilies. I think she paints a visual picture of what she wants to suggest they do right now. Let's slow things down a bit. Let's enjoy this. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Take time to graze. Until the day breathes and the shadows flee. Turn, my beloved, be like a gazelle or a young stag on cleft mountains. She doesn't say no. She says not today. She doesn't turn him away. She doesn't reject him. She says, not yet. It's not yet the time for this. There is a time, once you reach the point where marriage can be constructed and you can enter into that bond with each other, then there is a moment for running headlong into the fields and doing whatever. The relationship is built on the right foundation. There is a day for that to come. There is a moment when the agony of separation will be no more. There is a time when you will be able to fully run out there and pursue anything you want together. She kind of describes their courtship in a sense like nighttime. There is an agony in waiting and expecting and holding off and being wise and cautious and guarding love. It hurts because there's something within us that just wants to run out and grab it all. But she says, the night's not going to last forever. There's a moment when the day breathes in and the shadows flee. There is a right time for this. Not yet, but it'll come. Let the day breathe in. Let it arrive. Don't get ahead of yourself. Wait for it. It's worth it. Until that moment, Run along. Be my gazelle, be my young stag, bounding across the mountains. This is a beautiful love story. Anybody who's been in these kinds of relationships know that these are the daily realities of being in a courtship relationship. There's this yearning for the full thing that we're anticipating. We're yearning for reaching that moment of maturity in the love where we fully give ourselves to one another and share life together and do the whole thing till death do us part. We long for that, but there's an agony in the meantime. There's such an ecstasy in delighting in one another, but also an agony in having to exercise restraint, having to be patient. I think this song addresses this reality very powerfully. And I think it reminds us of the very important role that people outside that relationship play. We need each other. God never calls us as individuals. He calls us as a body, as a family, because He knows we need one another. And there is this broader reality of the family of faith we live in, and we have a responsibility to one another to help each other in important relationships like these, to speak wisdom and caution and encouragement into these relationships. Don't feel like you have to be hands off, like it's just their business. If you're close enough to be part of the conversation, if there is a level of trust and friendship that binds you, then speak wisdom into the life of the person you love, the friend you love. So what does this passage teach us today? If you're not yet married and anticipate that you might one day be, I think you have here a good picture of what to expect. These are the kinds of realities that are involved in entering into a relationship and pursuing marriage as your goal and a life together as your goal. There's ecstasy, there's such unbridled joy, but there are also dangers that need to be navigated. And you have to be able to put your eye on the big picture of what you're trying to reach so that the little foxes don't ruin things when they're just beginning. We live in a society that encourages us, that pushes us, that shames us if we try to hold off until marriage. I don't think there's been a society on earth with as much divorce as ours. You don't think there's a relationship between those? You don't think they're connected? This idea of just willy-nilly exercising your sexuality without any commitment, without any binding base to build something on? And we're surprised that our marriages fall apart? Maybe we haven't built right. Maybe we've ignored the danger of the little foxes. So if that's you, let me encourage you to commit yourself to not settling for less than what God has for you in marriage. Don't play around. Don't get into stupid relationships. Hold off for real relationships and guard your love. Some of you are already on the other side of marriage. You're well into it. And it's about continuing to pursue this joyous union together. Marriage isn't the finish line, it's the starting point. This thing of building a life together. It involves many tears and much love. It involves building things together. And just be sure that you never forget that God meant for this to be a wonderful gift. Celebrate all of it. Celebrate all of your partner and remind yourself that this is what God intends for you. Enjoy it. Don't let the difficulties of life rob you of the delight that God has for you in marriage. Some of you, marriage is not on the table. either because God has called you to celibacy, or because perhaps you're widowed, or it's just not something you're pursuing right now in your life. You might think this has nothing to do with me. Let me say, you have such an important role to play in the life of the church. You know, we need daughters of Jerusalem too, not just lover and beloved. We need this whole network of people who know what God has for us and who speak God's truth to those who are caught up in the middle of the incredible emotions that are involved in these kinds of relationships. Determine, if that's you, that you will speak wisdom and loving words to those around you who need them. Affirm God's truth in the lives of those around you. We're going to sing a song of invitation. I'd like to ask the musicians to come forward. While we're singing, if God has put any kind of a decision in your heart, I don't know, it may be something about your own marriage, maybe something about a relationship you're in, maybe about a friendship where you feel like God is calling you to have the courage to speak truth. You know, there are much nobler and grander and higher things to be than considered cool by your friends. You can do better than that. Maybe God's calling you to commit yourself to that. Whatever God may lay on your heart, come forward. We'll have people here to pray with you and encourage you. Reuben and Jackie, could you help me? And Phil and Nancy, could you help me with the invitation? Come home.